Well, I've got some bad news today in the YouTube sphere and in the entertainment sphere in general. It appears that another massive personality existing on YouTube has been outed as a PDF file, so to speak. You know what I mean when I say that term. But this has been happening a lot lately, but this one is pretty huge because it's a person associated with literally the biggest channel on YouTube, the biggest channel to have the most subscribers to ever exist, the MrBeast channel. The MrBeast channel recently just hit over 300 million subscribers, the most subscribed to channel ever on the platform. I think that it's impossible to be on YouTube without knowing who MrBeast is. And this is a channel just so huge, hundreds of millions of views on each video. I think that his highest video has over 6 million views, and usually it's like music videos that you see getting views that high, but this is just a person with their own channel, and they've managed to get that high of views. MrBeast's channel is just huge, and the guy knows what he's talking about when it comes to making it on YouTube and making good videos and all of that. But why is MrBeast's channel so huge? Well, he makes insanely entertaining videos. A lot of them are about him spreading the wealth around, giving his money to other people. Those have gotten a lot of views, which has sort of professed him to be a very good person, somebody who's very generous with his money. Others of his videos are people competing for money in these insane challenges. But part of what has made MrBeast's channel so successful is that he was able to surround himself with very entertaining personalities for his friends who are always with him in these videos and have been with him for years. One of those people is Kris Tyson. Now, let's get into who Kris Tyson is. Kris Tyson has been with MrBeast for a very, very long time, and they were roommates for years, in fact, and that's going to be a very, very important point to this video. They were roommates for years. Kris, I believe, was a college dropout. He found MrBeast, aka Jimmy. They really worked together to build up the channel. It's Jimmy's channel, but Kris was one of these people who worked with him for a very, very long time. And so Kris was with him as his roommate, and they rose to the top with the Jimmy as the main part of the channel, Kris as one of the supporting cast, if you will, along with other people who have kind of rotated. Like, there used to be Chandler used to be on the channel. He quit. Jake was apparently fired. He's going to come up in this video in a little bit. But Kris has been there for a very, very long time, and he was a very entertaining part of these videos. Last year, Kris came in the news very prominently because he transitioned, and he transitioned into a woman and started going by the name Ava Kris with a K Tyson. And this was very big news and caused a lot of controversy, but Jimmy came out and said that he supported Ava Kris Tyson despite all of the backlash they were getting. So the point is, Kris has been with the MrBeast channel for a very, very long time, and Jimmy really, really stands by them. But then we came up to some very unfortunate news a couple of days ago, 6 days ago to be exact, as of the recording of this video. A YouTuber, and it's a small YouTuber. This YouTuber had only 10,000 subscribers. I mean, they must have had even less than that because they only have 10,000 subscribers now after doing this big video. But it was a YouTuber named Adrox, and they did this video that was sort of an expose on Kris Tyson. And they went back through Kris Tyson's tweets and showed them some very suspicious behavior. Well, let's not sugarcoat it as just suspicious. This was outright disgusting behavior. So Kris is really into lollies. What is a lolly? Basically, it's inappropriate anime images of minors, if you understand what I'm saying. I mean, outright illegal stuff. I don't know how many of the words I can say out loud to express to you what these are, but you know what I'm saying. Extremely obscene, inappropriate images of minors. Kris Tyson has a lot of tweets out there where he talks to an artist of these insanely obscene images of children depicted as anime. This guy would even make pictures of real-life children like Daphne Keene when she was 12 years old, when she was starring in Logan, the daughter of the YouTuber Keem. He would make obscene images of these children, and Kris Tyson would tweet about these images. He had bought images of this. He had requested images of this, and in case anybody out there wanted to find some sort of defense about this, there is actually a video of MrBeast. This video has been up for 6 years. It has 22 million views, and during the video, you see one of these images images that Kris had bought and paid for in the house that he was sharing with MrBeast. And this is probably the most damning part of the entire process, because not only was this something that he openly talked about online, and these were in the years before the MrBeast channel really got huge, but he had all these tweets online, but he also had an image in his house that he shared with MrBeast. Now, what does this mean? Well, it means at the very, very least that this was some open behavior from Kris and that Jimmy knew about it. Jimmy lived with this guy. He had this image he allowed on his wall that Kris had. And if you see, and I took a video of the video where this appears in, Jimmy kind of looks over at it, and the way I read his body language, and I could be wrong, this is just my opinion, I read his body language as seeing it like he was maybe a little nervous about that being in the video, but maybe he thought no one would notice. That is just how I interpreted it. But it is very, very unfortunate for that video of Jimmy being out there and exposing that. The fact that these two are roommates, but I'll circle back to that in a minute, because this video from Adrox, where he said that he just wanted to call attention to it, the fact that Kris had behaved in this way, this went viral. It has almost 1 million views as of this recording. It's just starting to do the rounds, and as it finally picked up and had other people making videos on it, it had other people investigating Kris's behavior. And they found even worse information that Kris, yes, had been DMing minors. He had an inappropriate DMs with a person who was 13 years old at the time when he would have been 20. And more information keeps coming out that this was more than just him staring at these obscene images and buying them and requesting these obscene images, but he also had been having inappropriate conversations on the internet, sending inappropriate texts, pictures with minors. And so that it just keeps getting worse for them. And then today is when the firestorm really broke out. And you had Jake Franklin, who is a former MrBeast employee who apparently was fired, comes out and he says Jimmy knew. And well, we really didn't need clarification on that, because once again, we have the images of the scene of Jimmy seeing that there is a picture of that in the house that they shared together. So we know that Jimmy knew about this. Now, here's why this is so bad. So it doesn't really surprise me, this behavior from Kris. It doesn't surprise me at all that Kris would behave like this. However, what is more disappointing about this is to know that Jimmy knew about it, and he knew about it very blatantly. This wasn't like him really trying to defriend his friend. Maybe he just was completely oblivious to this. No, it was that behavior. Kris was very open about this on social media, and he had these pictures up in their house. So at the very, very least, Jimmy knew about it. Kris has been with him maybe one of the longest of anybody on the MrBeast crew, and this literally went unchecked until now. And it's really, I mean, first of all, it's really terrible for any victims who are a part of this, anyone who had this disgusting man who Kris was communicating with, Shadman, make this horrible, obscene art of minors. But it's awful for the people who were DMing Kris, who were being groomed by him. But also, it's just so disappointing, because this is what always happens to the YouTubers who get big. I was joking about this on a video I made when I hit 20,000 subscribers. I joked about how, oh, when I get big, I'm going to have to make a YouTube apology video. But to set aside the jokes for a minute, it isn't really actually funny, the fact that this keeps happening over and over again. At this same time, around this time last year, we had Colleen Ballinger, who I talked about, who was also caught DMing horribly obscene things to minors, and she was caught for that, and she still exists on YouTube. She doesn't have the audience she used to, but she still exists on YouTube, and her audience before that was of minors. And MrBeast channel, even though I think the videos are appealing to everyone, it's primarily a channel that is going to be watched by 12-year-olds and even younger than that. And that's why it is so doubly disgusting. You've got this person who's basically a supporting character on the biggest YouTuber on the planet, who had all of this inappropriate stuff about minors, all this obscene, disgusting stuff. and just was never checked for it, and just this behavior was allowed to exist. And it had to be another YouTuber who came forward and looked at this stuff and, did the horrible task of actually documenting it all to prove that this person was like this and they were doing this. And you have to wonder, why does it keep happening? Why is it the biggest YouTubers that this always happens to? It probably just feels that way because it's just happened so much lately. But here's the deal. The internet has given these perverse people more access to be able to look at stuff to satisfy or basically cater to their perversions. It's given them more access to do that, but it's also given us far more access to see this kind of behavior. Because I see people say, oh, you use the word groomer too much. People use these words too much. Well, the reason why we've had to use these words so much is because we're seeing it so often now, and it's because these people with these perversions get on the internet and they think they can find stuff to cater to their perversion, and they think for whatever reason that no one is ever going to find out about it, even though the internet gives us more access to find out about it than ever before. But the reason why it happens to these YouTubers or at times like this is stuff when you have something like this bad. This is not something that is caused by you getting rich and famous, as we see with Kris Tyson. This was happening with him before the MrBeast channel got really, really huge, because these tweets and so forth, they go back a long time. And so what's happening though is what we see with Jimmy is this was behavior that just went unchecked for years. This could have been, he should have at the very, very least been fired. He should have been disassociated with the channel of MrBeast while he was up and coming, but apparently he didn't, and he let him ride the ride up with him. And it's just really sad behavior, because once again, I'm not surprised about this when it comes to Kris Tyson, but I am very disappointed when it comes to MrBeast, because you always see these huge channels, they get really, really big, and they have so much money, and he's giving it out to people, and the videos are so fun, and it all just seems a little bit too good to be true. And there's always like something like behind all of the joy behind these videos. Something is not completely right. Something isn't good. So MrBeast, as of the recording of this video, has yet to respond. I imagine that Kris is going to be fired and disassociated from this channel at the very least. I don't know if MrBeast is going to just release a statement from it or do a YouTube apology video. But even though I was joking about YouTube apology videos a couple weeks ago, really it is very disappointing that every YouTuber who gets big eventually has to make an apology video, because they either mess up like this or they reveal that something bad like this was going on all the time. But, for just some final words on this before we get in for more information, no, the word groomer is not being overused. It's just that we're seeing more people than ever before, because as the internet once again has given these people access for things to basically enjoy in their perversion, then we see it more, and we have to call out these people more. That is what actually is going on. You can't think that you can do this kind of stuff and get away with it. But anyway, it's still very disappointing stuff. MrBeast just crossed 300 million subscribers. He just did a video with all of so many famous YouTubers, and it was just such a big deal. And then this information comes out, and it just completely sullies that image. But if he had taken care of this before, if he had cut off Kris Tyson and he had not allowed him to climb up the ladder with him, then it wouldn't be happening. But it's just some unfortunate news, but that's all I got for you guys today. I might do a follow-up video on this if we get more information out. Do you think that there's anything we can do to stop all these perverse people from getting such big audiences with kids? Anything we can prevent this stuff from happening in the first place? Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Thank you, patrons, as always, and I will see you guys next time.